community. Yeah, okay. A community carefully curated for HR people to not only just to network, but to share knowledge and to share resources and to help one another on our journey in the HR space. So thank you very much for that. Recently, she was promoted at work to head of HR Foods Commercial at Flour Mills Nigeria. Flour Mills Nigeria. So a big congratulations to you, Coach Lara, and we would like to wish you all the very best on this new role. And we assure you that this is even just the beginning of greater heights or greater things on your journey. So well done. Kudos to you for all that you do in that space. Please, yes, go ahead and wish her, say your congratulations to her in the chat section. Thank you very much, everyone. Without further ado, I'm just going to quickly tell us a bit about our guest for today. I personally think that he's someone that doesn't need introduction, but for the sake of protocol and all of that, and for the sake of people who don't, I believe that they're in the minority who don't know him, I'm just going to quickly read a little bit of his profile. So Daniel Folley, professionally known as Daniel Folley, is a missionary entrepreneur with over 10 years experience in building digital and technology businesses in Africa and UK focused on human-centric. He is the founder of Softlink.ai, an e-commerce platform for SMEs, coaches, and consultants in Africa, with 100,000 users and 12,000 merchants. That is huge. Congratulations, sir. He's on a mission to equip business owners with the skill set and resourceful training that will enhance their business structure, marketing, productivity, and scalability. He has trained and empowered over 100,000 African entrepreneurs through his work as a founder, trainer, and coach at Daniel Folley Academy. I hope I'm not murdering your name. Please correct me if I am. Academy, creating over 20 online courses and distributing them in over 70 countries using Facebook ads. I'm sure if you're on Facebook or social media, you've probably seen his face. His ad has popped up on your timeline or something. He's a trainer and teacher per excellence, and his passion exudes through his investments, which are people he has mentored and empowered. In 2018, he won the United Nations SDGs Award for Innovation in Bonn, Germany. He has worked with several high net worth individuals on PR, branding, and storytelling projects, including President Olusegun Obasanjo, the former president of Nigeria. Specialty, SaaS, EdTech, business strategy, go-to-market strategy, digital marketing, PPC, branding, and storytelling. He's worked with United Nations, EU, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Sir Kensington Adebutu, UNODC, CYCDI, Bailey's, Nestle, Diageo, Banwo, and Igodalo. That is some rich client base right there. That brings us to the end of our intro on the speaker for today. And I think that he deserves a round of applause for that rich profile that I just read out to you. So please say something nice to him in the comment section and let's keep the conversation going. I'll be popping in there from time to time to see what people are saying, and I'll be reading out some of your comments and your questions at the end of the session. Welcome very much, Mr. Daniel Folley. Right?
That's correct, Daniel Folley.
One thing I'm very particular about is making sure that I get people's names correctly, because I believe that our names are a major part of our identity, and we should actually strive to pronounce people's names correctly or address people the way they want to be addressed, which includes the way they want their names to be pronounced. So thank you very much. Okay, so the first question that I'm going to ask you is this. With the changes happening in our world, there has been a lot of job losses, the economy, and it's not limited to Nigeria. I think all over the world, economies are not stable. There's increased cost of living, there's cash crunch, there's high unemployment rates, low salaries or even untimely salaries, as we have found out in some instances in Nigeria where people don't get paid on time. What exactly are the impact and implications of these challenges to our individual performances and productivity?
Okay, thank you very much, HR Madam. Before I go into answering your question, I think I'd like to, first of all, thank everyone on the call for taking out the time to join us today. Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome, great. So thank you very much. If Coach Lara had said to me that you were going to read that profile, I probably would have sent the one-liner. That's quite a long one. Okay, so thank you so much for having me. Now, to come into the question, I think that's a very good question. And I like what you said, that it's a global crisis. It's not peculiar to one country, not peculiar to one city or, a particular class of people. It's if you travel around the world, you find out that everywhere there is one thing or the other. There's the energy crisis, there's the war in Ukraine, there is, high unemployment in different parts of the world. And you find out that in some parts of the world, people are emotionally unstable, right? As a matter of fact, since COVID, the world has been very different, right? You find out that people have struggled to fully come back into what is a productive space, right? And a productive world. Some people struggle with depression, some are struggling with lack of motivation, because again, if your finances are not in order, it's very hard to focus, as we all know. So this is a major issue around the world, and I think that the problem is not just something that can be solved with one stroke. So take, for instance, if you increase employment rate, that still does not mean that everything is going to be fine, because some of the problems is not just finances, also emotions. Some marriages have been broken, some homes have been broken. In times like this, you have people who have lost trust, relationships have been broken. You have people who it's even hard to people whose future looked very good, and all of a sudden it looks like their world comes crumbling. When you look at the massive layoff in tech, right? And tech, we all know, is one of the highest paying industries, right? And certain people left their old jobs to actually build a career in tech, and all of a sudden they've been laid off. In fact, some relocated from one country to another. We had people who left India, went to the US to join the tech market there, and all of a sudden, not only have these guys lost their jobs, right? They are also stranded because their visa requires them to leave in 2 weeks, right? If they don't have a job. And so you have this set of interdependent activities and chaos that has now created what we see in the world today. But however, there's some bright light. We also know that more technology companies are being built, businesses are still starting, right? And I think that if we look at the positives, it then makes sense to now begin to see the opportunities that exist. And then I think what is also critical is that those who have been able to sort of have a soft landing, right, especially the middle class, and those who have been able to navigate their ways, right, around the emotional challenges and financial challenges, and the cost of living and all that, and those who believe that their head is still in the right place, for lack of a better word, should now begin to look at how can we help others, how can we help solve other people's problems. How can we look at organizations whose profit has been badly hit? How can we look at organizations whose leadership, has been disrupted? And then how can we help them build better leadership? How can we look at organizations that their business models are obsolete and help them, build strategies to sort of refocus and find new market, find new opportunities, and begin to grow again? So I think that if we have that mindset, we can see more reason and purpose to be more active, right, or more proactive in the world that we live in today.
Thank you very much for that. I mean, you said something that jumped at me, and that is leadership. And again, if we look at the world that we live now, it appears, not that it appears, the reality is that there is leadership crisis from
Yes.
the US to anywhere, the UK, they've had their own share of it. I mean, coming home to Nigeria, we've had our own share of leadership crisis. And people are beginning to ask the pertinent question, what is the way forward? There is a saying that everything rises and falls on leadership.
Yeah.
From your own perspective, and because again, you mentioned the fact that you're helping businesses and individuals to look at, how leadership has crumbled for them and how you can refocus that and ensure that, things begin to steer in the right direction. So what is your take? What do you think is the solution to this problem of leadership? Even in terms of managing people in the workplace, because no matter the initiative or the projects or of your people agenda, everything rises up. Please, can we mute? Sorry. Sorry. So can we please, can you please tell us what is your take? I mean, what is the way forward? What is the solution to this leadership crisis that we are all in? Thank you.
Okay, I think first let me say that when you have a multi-dimensional problem, what you need to find is a multi-dimensional solution. And so it's hard to say that there is one particular solution that's going to take all this problem away. However, we can look around a few options. We can look at a few options, and then we can look within and say, based on this conversation that we're having, how can we solve the leadership problem? Let me also say that it's not just a leadership problem now, it's also a followership problem. So, and then it's also a societal problem that we are having, because everything is interdependent. Let me give you an instance. So if the transportation sector of a country is bad, it's hard to get the business working, right? If there are no entrepreneurs or innovators in any economy, it's very hard to create jobs. And when there are no jobs, you find out that it's hard to build stronger families, right? And when you have a very weak, family, and you have families that cannot take care of themselves, cannot take care of the bills, cannot afford, then you have what is called an economic, and a national tension. And when people are not motivated, it's hard to get them to begin to innovate again. So it's a loop, right? There's no one component that stands on its own. They are independent, yes, but they are all interdependent at the same time. And so if we now start looking at solutions, what you will see is that there are lots of angles. And to encourage the people on the call today, because this is not just a Q&A, this is also an opportunity for us to expand our mind, to expand our vision, to look at what we do, and to fully understand the role that we play in the society. Because again, based on the complexities of the world, it is possible for one person to see themselves as just being in a box and see themselves as, I'm just here. There's nothing I do that, that matters. I can't change the world. I just go to work and come back, and that's it. It's not true. What you find out is that everything, right, is like a snowball. Right. So it's a flywheel where if one person tilts the flywheel in a certain direction and another person joins and they tilt it for a while, and they keep spinning that flywheel, all of a sudden what happens is if you do leave the flywheel, it continues to spin. And so I think I want to share a few ideas to how we, as coaches, as HR professionals, and as consultants can help to begin to spin this flywheel. If we look at the basics of what we do, the foundation of what we are as HR professionals, we manage people. That's it. We manage people, human beings. So as long as human beings remain on earth, the role of HRs, right, professionals and coaches and consultants in the society will always be relevant. And so what does this mean? It means that as coaches and consultants, we now need not just to look at our 9 to 5, and that is good, that is okay, right? We need to look within, and then we need to look outside, right? We need to look out in terms of looking out of our own families, looking out of our own comfort zone, looking out of our own organizations, and looking into the wider society and say, how can we help? And if we do that, then you see lots of problems, and then you see the way you can contribute to that. Now, let me give you an example. Right, just so that I can add context to this. Let's look at our society, for instance. You look at the local government, right? Local governments have chairmen, but you'll be surprised that some of this local government is not, and some people don't even know their local government chairman. You'll be surprised that some of these local governments, the chairman has a good intention, The problem they have is they don't have the right people to drive their agenda. And all of a sudden, you find out that such a local government is just not active. And they spend 4 years occupying that office and nothing happens. You as an HR professional, you have some friends. Some of you even have network that know these, local government guys. Can you speak to these chairmen, engage them and talk about ideas and initiative that they can extract and explore in their local government to begin to build better society? Let me give you an instance. We have local libraries, we have local governments, but if you look at it, I don't know any local government in Nigeria where an SME in that environment, if they need support, if they're trying to hire people, if they need ideas, if they need funding, if they need education or information, I don't know any local government in Lagos or in Nigeria. If there is, please tell me that an SME, a small business owner, can go to and say, what opportunities do you have? I need to hire people. Do you have a link? Do you have a list of people who are looking for jobs in this local government? And can I select people from there? As a matter of fact, local government should run operations like maintaining a database of people who are looking for jobs in that area, right? And then share these opportunities. So not everything has to do with money. There are ideas that we can explore, that this local government and these systems can explore, right, to begin to help people and build a better society. Let's take I mean, that's on the government side. So let's look at people or marriages that are distressed. For instance, you might be on this call and you're probably, a marriage coach or a marriage counselor. My question for you is, are you doing this just within your friends or doing it just in church, or are you actually launching out to reach out to people? Because if you are in Lekki or you are in Ikoyi and you believe that that's, 3/4 of the world, or, it's just okay to be there, there's someone in Kaduna who has a marital problem and needs your help. My question is this: do you have systems put in place to reach out to those people? Because you have to do 3 things. You have to let that person know you have to let that person know about your offer, and then you have to get them to buy into your programs. And that is how you transform people. So the core principle of an HR, in fact, what defines an HR person is the fact that you're able to transform the lives of other people. And by so doing, transform organization and transform society. So a quick check for every one of us would be, ask yourself, this year, how many lives have I transformed by the, virtue of the work that I do? Do you have a list? Do you have a data that says that these are the amount, at least this year, I'm sure I've trained at least 12 coaches this year, right? In my programs. I know that. And beyond coaches, I know the amount of people that are watching my online course and are learning digital marketing, by virtue of the systems that we have put in place. So if we begin to look at that internal audit and see how are we even impacting, right? Because again, impact and income connects together, not only for coaches, but for also for the coachee, which might be the entrepreneur or the family. So let me tell you, let me give an instance. So a classic instance is this: as a coach, if you can help families become better and raise better children, what happens is this: first, you'll be able to impact the family. Okay. And then the next thing is this: that person pays you to coach them. So you make an income, and that income can go into other things, right? Whatever expenses you have, you might want to travel to buy on holiday or whatever. Okay. Now that family that you help, because you coach the family and you impact them, what happens is that they themselves, are lifted to a better place. And by so doing, they can even increase their own earning power. They increase the love and abundance, that they have, and they can give and share within their own environment. And because of their own success, their community around them also taps into that. And so what you find out is that by coaching other people, not only are you earning an income yourself, you're helping other people to live better lives and earn better income and have more love and kindness to give to their own world. And by so doing, we have this ripple effect of a society, right, that is actively being built for progress. And so you will find that when you look at that, you now see that, oh, even though I'm in my house, even though I have a job, even though I have a 9 to 5, even though, I only have a first name and a last name, right, and I'm on my own, I can actually do something to help the current situation that is going on. I can do something to lift people out of poverty. And that is how we take our power back. Because except we have that mindset, we just live in a world and it's just like a box and we are powerless. Okay, but having the mindset that, okay, if I help one person and I can find 2 people and I can find 3 people and make it 10 and make it 20, and in a year, I can reach out and impact 100 lives. Okay, what then happens is that 100 lives will have snowball effect of maybe 1,000 more lives, and that 1,000 more lives can have another snowball effect. And so there are lots of opportunities. It's not just, marriage counseling or consulting. There are people who need help with their health. There are people who need help with their weight loss. There are people who need help with different things. Some want to acquire new, certification. Some people are trying to pass certain exams. Are you a professional in that regard? And can you help somebody cross, right, a particular hurdle in their life that they're trying to cross? And so if you look at that, you find out that you actually have something that you can, contribute to the world and help, leaders to do better and help organizations to do better. And by so doing, you can do very well yourself, right? And help your clients to also do very well.
Thank you for those gems right there. I'm going to go to the next question, and which is that we all desire good lives, but sometimes the reality is that we lack willpower to seek opportunities. So how can coaching be a solution in helping others to achieve results?
Okay. Did you say sometimes we feel that we lack the power?
Yes, sometimes we lack the will, the willpower to
Oh.
seek opportunities. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, willpower is that's a very valid question. Okay, now I would answer this question, but after answering this question, I think I'd like on this call, I can see about 20 something people here, about 23 people here. So I'd like maybe 2 or 3 people to unmute themselves and just talk about, who they are and what they're hoping to get out of this session, or what
Fantastic
is,
idea.
yeah, or what they're trying to do right now. What's the next thing for them? So if you're on this call, it's not Q&A yet, but I'd just like you to introduce yourself, because again, it's good to have an idea of who my audience is, so that I know exactly what to speak about. So about 3 people, we can just, hear from you. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us what you do, who you are, what are you working on now? What's the next thing for you? What's your vision? What's your big goal? And yeah. Okay. So speaking about willpower, I mean, politicians wouldn't have willpower, no matter how much, no matter the position they occupy, they can't do nothing. Okay. And so sometimes, you have people who elect politicians based on political will. Do you have the political will to actually pass, new laws and make things happen? And so the thing with power is, I know from experience that power comes from knowledge, right? So when you have knowledge, and then with the application of knowledge, which is wisdom, that's where power comes from. And so you find out that when people don't have knowledge of whom they are, they become powerless. It is, not possible to have willpower where you don't even have self-awareness, all right? Or where you don't even know what is going on around you, your community. And so where you see lack of power, if you look around, you'd see lack of knowledge. And so what I would say is that we need knowledge of how things work. Okay, you find out that when people don't go out for what they want, when people don't go out for opportunities, behind that is fear, right? Fear of the unknown. Sometimes they just have fear of, how do I even go about it? Sometimes they have fear of, what do I say? Sometimes they have fear of, do I really matter? Sometimes they have fear of marketing. Sometimes they have fear of sales. Sometimes they have fear of, oh, I've seen somebody, do it very well. I think this person has taken the entire market. There's nothing for me anymore. How am I going to meet this person? So there are a lot of things running through people's mind. Sometimes they even have fear of, can I do it alone? Sometimes they have fear of, I need help, but I don't know who to call. So you see, lots of tiny, little bits of stuff, right? That actually happens to people. And sometimes when people don't also have willpower to go out there and seek opportunities, it's also because they are comfortable. Okay, so when someone is too comfortable, when people are okay and they like where they are, probably have a big house somewhere, they already have 2 cars, and their kids are in good schools, they feel everything as well. That's also okay. But when you get to a stage in life when you feel that all is well and then there is nothing else to pursue, the person is dying quickly. So if you look at it, I'm a Christian, and if you look at the Bible, the rich man said, well, now I'm rich, I can eat and, do whatever I want to do. And, God said to him, well, since you feel you are rich and then you are done and you just want to eat away, but today's the day you die. Because once we stop giving and once we think that there is nothing else to give or there is nothing else to seek, that's the day we start dying. And so if we think about that, then what we need to do is this: we need to go out, seek knowledge. We need to be willing to leave our comfort zone, and then we need to be willing to take action. Because in fact, sometimes when people have too much knowledge, you've studied too much, right? Yeah, it also paralyzes you. So you have people who have studied too much, they know too much, that what they know has paralyzed them from even doing anything. So there's certain knowledge you need to have before you do something, but there's also knowledge that you would never have until you do something. And so taking action then becomes critical. Okay. So if you look at that, what that means is that go out there, just throw yourself into it, seek opportunities, understand what you're trying to go for, understand the change you want to see in the world, and go for it. Okay. If you do that, if you go for it, everything you feel you lack, every skill you think you lack, every relationship you think you lack, you'll find it along the way. I always tell people that the thing with coaching is this: people think that when you are a coach, you only get influence, impact, and income. In fact, influence, impact, and income are the least things on the list of what you get as a coach. The number one thing you get when you coach people or when you launch into your world to help people is the relationship, the people you meet. Let me give you an instance. If I didn't launch a coaching program, I would not even be on this call today. Okay, and my host can bear me witness to that. So it's the people you meet. Certain people, look at me and say, Dan, your reach is just too much. Some people look at me and say, I remember, once when I was in Nigeria, someone came into a meeting. It was a meeting with a government agency, and he saw me in that meeting. He said, look, when we left the meeting, he said, but are you not a photographer? How come you are seated in this kind of place? I was one of the, the guys there trying to help with the policy. He said, how come you're there? How come you're in government? Are you a politician? In fact, at some point, people began to wonder whether I'm a politician or not. So that's based on the relationship that I have. So sometimes you see me, I recently had someone who sent me a picture and said, she knows somebody that lives around where I'm in the UK. And I said, I wouldn't have met that person if I didn't do certain things. So I have relationships, of people who are in photography industry, those who are in the film industry. I have relationship with coaches. I have relationship with certain politicians, based on my work in the community and all that. I have relationship with business owners and SMEs. I also have relationships in the tech space because I run a technology business, and I'm in one of the top accelerators in the UK for technology. And so having that relationship, and the thing is that relationship is reason why people go up and don't come down, right? Someone once said to me, say, if you have money, the first thing you should seek is relationship. Forget spending the money. Use your money to win friends. That's the first thing. And so as a coach and as a consultant, people who God has given wisdom, we are custodians of knowledge. If we put everyone on this call together to write a book, we'll write a very large book because there are people here on this call who might